Hi guys, welcome to lesson 10.1, the Pythagorean Theorem. Our objective for the day is that I can solve problems using the Pythagorean Theorem and that I can identify right triangles. So our first problem of the day is using the Pythagorean Theorem to find the length of a hypotenuse. Now the Pythagorean Theorem says that in any right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs is equal to the square of the length of the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is our C in our picture, and it's also the longest side. We can think of that as the longest word, the longest side. The two legs are the two sides that are attached to the right angle. And remember, we are not going to assume that a triangle is the right a triangle is a right triangle unless we are given that indication that it's a right triangle. Sometimes they might look like it, but we can't always just trust it. All right, so we're going to start off with problem A. We've got our Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And yes, you do need to memorize that. So we just plug in our values for a, b, and c into our equation. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, equals c squared. Add them together, 25 equals c squared. What do? We take the square root, and 5 is equal to c. But wait, didn't we say whenever we took a square root in the last chapter we have a positive and a negative value, Miss Zirzo?
Can't have a negative distance, guys.
There we go. Can't have a negative side length. So only the positive values are going to matter. All right, problem B, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We write in our a, b, and c. So we'll have 2 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. 4 plus 49 equals c squared. 53 equals c squared. Square root of both sides.
Is 53 a perfect square?
Nope. So it's going to be approximately 7.28. We are just going to round these off to about the hundredths place, and that'll be good. Okay. Letter C. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. 4 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. 16 plus 64 equals c squared. So we have 80. And we're going to take the square root of it. That is not a perfect square, so it's going to be approximately 8.94. Okay. Letter D, 12 squared plus 18 squared equals c squared. So 144 plus 324 equals c squared. Those add up to 468. Take the square root of both sides, and you get approximately 21.63. Okay. Now, in problem 2, we know the hypotenuse, and we are trying to find the length of one of the legs. Now, as we put in our A and B, it doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B. They are interchangeable because they are being added together. So we start off with our equation, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we're going to plug in our values for A, B, and C. A is 5 squared, B is our unknown, so it stays the variable, and C is 13. So 25 plus b squared equals 169. Subtract 25 from both sides, and x squared is equal to 144. That is a perfect square that you should know. It is 12. Letter B, we've got x squared plus 10 squared equals 23 squared. Ten squared is 100. 23 squared is 529. So we subtract 100 from both sides, and we're left with a squared is equal to 429. We take the square root, and it's going to be approximately 20.71. If you don't remember, the little squiggle equal sign means approximately. 9 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared. 81 plus b squared equals 225. Subtract 81 from both sides, and you're going to have the x squared equals 144. Take the square root. B is equal to 12. Okay. Letter D, set it up the same way.
Lizette Jacobson, please call the office. Lizette Jacobson, please call the school office.
A squared plus 36 is equal to 361. We're going to subtract 36 from both sides. A squared equals 325. Take the square root of both sides, and A is equal to approximately 18.03. Problem 3, we are going to use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. So now we're going to work our way backwards. And the converse says that if a triangle has sides of lengths a, b, and c, and a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, then the triangle is a right triangle with a hypotenuse of c. Now remember what I said at the top of the show. We've got our hypotenuse is the longest side. So we just plug each of our values into our Pythagorean theorem. 2.1 squared plus 7.2 squared is equal to 7.5 squared. 2.1 squared is 4.41 plus 51.84 is equal to 56.25. 56.25 is equal to 56.25, so that is a right triangle. Next up, we've got 5 and 8 are our two legs. So 5 squared is 25, 8 squared is 64, and our hypotenuse is 10, which is 100. Does 89 equal 100? No, so it is not a right triangle. All right, next up, letter C. 20, 47, and 52. 52 is our longest side, so that's our hypotenuse. Write out the equation, plug the numbers in. 20 squared is 400, 47 squared is 2,209, and 52 squared is 2,704. Add those two together, you get 2609 is equal to 2704, and last time I checked, those were not the same number. So that is not a right triangle. Next up, letter D, we've got A, B, and C, 9, 40, and 41. 9 squared is 81, 40 squared is 1600, and 41 squared is 1681. Add them together, 1681 is equal to 1681, so that is a right triangle. And that is our lesson for today. We will see you in class.